Peace, shalom, assalamu alaikum, namaste, ashe, jumbo, all the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Napasha Da, and this is the HOK. This is the HOK network. As you see, I'm dual streaming right now on different platforms because the giant platform, House of Consciousness, and the other giant platform, Sonnetter Studios, I'm hoping that your traffic will be directed to the HOK Coliseum. Yes, this is the HOK Coliseum is our debate channel, and we're opening it up to also people who come in and do discussions and presentations that will ultimately lead to debates. So please come over to the HOK Coliseum. And also, if you are one of my loyal day ones on the R.I.S E channel, Reality is Simulated Existence, formerly the Napasha Da channel, peace and love, a special peace and love to you dark minds over there, darkest minds. And if you're not subscribed to my R.I.S E channel, please go subscribe. If any of my mods are in there on the R.I.S E channel, please drop my link on the HOK Coliseum channel, because several of the mods for the bigger channels are also my mods, and I love you for that. All right, we got all that out the way. Peace, Zane 365. I see you out there. Let me see who else. Let me go back to the comments. Peace, Dark Migo, or Mijo, Dark Migo. Chef 6, thank you so much for that comment. That is very heartfelt. Joel Bradford. Tahuti, there's my day one. Tahuti, peace to you. Peace and love always. That's my bestie right there. King Mullah, or is that Muyo? I don't know for sure. He says Trump 2024. I'm not mad at you. So I'm doing great, Dark Migo. I just want to today, I'm going to have hopefully some sisters and some brothers, ladies and gentlemen, join us. I'm looking specifically, I think DJ Genesis will be joining us. However, we're going to talk about toxic femininity and how the toxic femininity is being defined right now, and how we will broaden the definition. We'll add in, we'll take away, we'll discuss it, because it is quite a new term. It's been penned or coined, so to speak. It started in 2018 on the coattails of the term toxic masculinity, which is also being defined and redefined and defined and redefined, and So toxic femininity, the topic specifically is toxic femininity joining the attack on women and the attack on the men who love women. We're talking about ageism, body shaming, and materialism. Now, this is a very complex topic and a very sensitive topic. So in this discussion, in the context of what I'm discussing today, this is my disclaimer. I don't want to hear, well, Napa, you say this, but then what about this? We are in the context of the effect of toxic femininity as an agenda to destroy women and the men who love women. And yes, I am about male leadership. However, toxic femininity can actually be internalized misogyny, according to the definition right now. So what they'll do, these toxic femmes will come on the internet and they will feign meaning they're not really, but they're pretending. They will feign being feminine, and during that, they will pander. I don't like using that term pick me, because it's much more complex than that. They will pander to males who are also slipping into toxic masculinity. Stay with me. Toxic masculinity is, if you look at it as like men going their own way, but they're on the right path, or what else do you call it? The IBMOR, introspective black men of reform, male empowerment. That's all on the right path. Okay. Right. In the manosphere even. However, we have a part of the path, if you think of it as like a mountainside path, starts to crumble and fall away into a landslide because that turns into masculine, toxic masculinity. Did I make myself clear? So there is a clear path that is not toxic, it's helpful. And that is a lot of the platforms that originated as male empowerment. However, on that path, it started to veer into toxic masculinity. All right, let me let Genesis in. And so I want to make that clear. And again, both of these terms, toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, are still being defined. They're still being, discussed. So there really isn't any, if someone comes in and say, no, that's not toxic masculinity, or no, that's not toxic femininity. If there are, good talking points brought up about the particular subjects, then we need to add or redefine what we have right now on the table as both masculine and feminine toxicity. Peace, Genesis.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. I glad you're here, and I hope, yeah, Pat, anybody who wants to come in, what you have to do is, I prefer your camera to be on, but if you really have something to say, I need to see who you are in the back, and at least when you come onto the panel, have your camera on. But then if you want to turn it off afterwards, you definitely can. I'm okay with that. Just if you enter with your camera on. So before, and because I see some good questions in the chat. Yes, Tahuti, feign. That's the word, feign. They're feigning being feminine. Okay, so what's your take on it? What do you know about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity?
Well, I think there's a whole like sector called the red pill. That's toxic masculinity right there. That's 100%. And now you got like the opposite of that, the pink pill with other people that this like kind of that's trying to be the antithesis of that. You know what I'm saying? Of the answer to that from the female perspective, where you have this kind of it's a name for it when a person when a woman is like this.
Yeah, well, the antithesis of it. Yeah, like
there's a name for it when you I forget, misandry.
Yeah, misandry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then you get into the most toxic thing is when you have the mother. When you have the older generation that hates the younger generation women against each other. You know what I'm saying? When you have an older woman, they could be so toxic to their daughters. As they see their daughters going into puberty, they begin to like have this inside jealousy thing that's happening, brewing inside them. And that is when it could get really, really sick,
Mm-hmm. Right. And I do want to touch on some of that as far as real quick. Saint Swarthy, if you don't mind, turn on your camera. And I know who you are, but I just want to bring you up with the camera on just to let everybody know that I don't play favorites. Peace. How are you? But we are going to touch on that for sure, especially like there's studies of women in our neighborhoods, in Black neighborhoods. It doesn't specifically say African American or Black in the study, but it talks about people who are on the lower side of the socioeconomic spectrum, so to speak. It's not really a spectrum, but the scale. Peace, my brother. What would you like to add before we get really into this?
Hey, shalom, sisters. How y'all doing today?
Really good. I'm glad we're going to have this discussion. I hope more people join. Go ahead.
I think the sister DJ Genesis pretty much used the term that I was going to use to ask my question. Is toxic femininity? Is it a form of misandry?
Toxic femininity is a form. It's first being said to be a form of misogyny that's internalized, but it also, the way it's being used, it actually is can also be used against males, but on the surface, it doesn't look like it's misandry. That's why we're going to talk about the definition of it, really like get into where it began and then go into how it is being targeted. Because this is what it does. It'll call men who support women simps. So we have women who've been weaponized against men to attack women and attack men who support women. For instance, you see a lot of these women on the internet talking about, oh, you know, you hit the wall, or you're not worth anything because of how you look. What are you bringing to the table for men? Why are you not either giving him money, bringing that to the table, or bringing your good looks to support him when he walks in the room, or giving him children? Those are women, because women are more effective psychologically aggressive. Like men are typically seen as physically aggressive. Women are very good at being psychologically aggressive, especially when it comes to shaming and tearing down reputations. And there are studies on that, psychological studies. And so when you ask if it's misandry, you'll have women who are weaponized against women with toxic femininity, but they also attack men who are joined with those women. So I hope that you go ahead, Genesis. What's your definition or your take on it? Are you there? You're muted if you don't know that. I'm gonna end the stream on HOK. So come on over to the on the House of Consciousness. So come on over to HOK Coliseum or the R.I.S.E channel. Genesis, can you hear us? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Great explanation for me, Nepal, and I'm finna fall back in the chat so I can check out the lesson. But I appreciate you answering my question. And you know, it's something a little different than what you see on most YouTube platforms as far as a discussion. So I'm finna fall back in the chat and check out the lesson.
Well, before you fall back, as a man, I did want to hear something from you as far as what you think about it, since you hit the panel.
Well, I've seen a lot of these talking points on YouTube, and you know, I mean, when you look at the definition of what a feminist is really supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me, isn't it supposed to be just supporting women having the choice to do what they want to do?
I think the core of feminism, not femininity,
right?
The core of feminism is trying to get equal or equality for women, like egalitarian sort of, you know, thing.
Right. I understand. I've seen a lot of these discussions. I've seen a lot of women who kind of joined the red pill talking points, if you will, or like the Kevin Samuel talking points, if you will. But you know, it's kind of interesting because, you know, I kind of either subscribe to somebody being misogynistic or misandrous. So what you're talking about is kind of I want to say it's not somewhere in between, but I mean, you definitely got my interest. I want to hear what exactly it is, and it's a little different than what I've heard on YouTube before, I have to say. So that's probably the reason why I was going to just listen. But I've heard these talking points of women that shame, that they kind of join the supporting of the fit, feminine, friendly talks, or, you know, you got to look a certain way or act a certain way. You're not feminine enough. Women being called masculine sometimes, or even this term that's used to call women pick-me's that respect their husbands, so to say. So right. I've seen and heard a lot of these different talking points on YouTube before. I have, actually.
Right. And you know how you said women who are shaming women when they are respecting their husband, they call them pick-me. So for me, right now, toxic femininity is is for the most part being defined as, and I suspect that this is obviously from a feminist point of view, which there's nothing bad about that, but it's from a feminist point of view. And to be fair, the first person who coined the term is I believe, someone who had the feminist point of view. It may not have been male, or I don't know if it was male or female, but it was a feminist point of view. And the first definition of toxic femininity was to address the women who were getting on social media saying, oh, you're not feminine. And I see a lot of Black women doing it, and they know, and you know, they're acting, because what they're doing is really trying to get the approval of a lot of men who genuinely have said, you know, we're tired of women acting this way. We're tired of women doing that and this and that. And I know that's genuine, even though some of it has turned into what Genesis said, into toxic, because she defined the red pill as toxic when at first it was not toxic, but it's become like super anti-woman. So I digress. Going back to what the beginning of toxic femininity, it was defined as internalized misogyny that women are internalizing. So women are attacking other women with on the basis of ageism, body shaming, telling women basic materialism, like you don't dress appropriately, you don't have the right type of money that you should be able to come in, and he can be, able to come to the table, and you brought something. But first and foremost, I will say that the manosphere, they don't really come like, oh, you need money. They come like, you need to be beautiful, you need to be young, you need to be, agreeable, you need to be quiet, you need to be submissive. So toxic femininity it's women who push that, but really they internalize it in a resentful way. Like, I really don't like this, but I'm going to put it out there and attack other women to gain points from men. Now, toxic femininity has broadened. It started to go into, like you said, where women are attacking men who say, you know what, I support women with their decisions. I support women who, don't want to have children right now. They want to do, work in their careers. So they attack men who support that, if that makes any sense. Or they will even attack a man who says, I don't mind if women are not, super skinny. I like BB, what are they called? The beautiful woman, what are they called?
Oh, BBWs.
BBWs, yes. They say, I love BBWs, and they'll attack those guys like, oh, you're a simp. Or a guy who'll be like, I don't mind doing this for women. And they'll say, oh, that's because you're a simp. And now, so women are taking on that. And let me tell you, I'm going to park my car. It's much more effective. Even the men who are very great orators, great content creators, it's so much more effective when they use the women to do it. Because women in psychological studies are very much more effective in their aggression psychologically. It's just known that women are more effective psychologically with aggression than men, and men are generally more effective, obviously, because they're stronger, physically aggressive. So I said a lot, but that's, that's something for you guys to go ahead and discuss. Genesis, I know you want to jump in here.
I wanted to give an example of something that's toxic femininity. I want to show an example of it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, is this from YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So as long as we don't, we have to make sure we copyright. So
can you? Is there a way to just cover up? You don't have to show the screen.
Oh yeah. Let me do that. Actually, you're right. Oh, so it's just you want to hear the sound. Great. Okay.
Sisters, I'm in a chat. I can hear both of you guys, right, but I exchange currency right now, so I got to close down the till right now and kind of all of this different stuff. But interesting topic, new topic on YouTube, and you definitely got my attention. So I'm gonna still be in the chat, but I just got to shut down the store real quick, and then I can probably jump back on the panel once I close down.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you came in. Thank you, Sanctuary. I'll look forward to having you back, but definitely thank you for tuning in. All right, peace, my brother.
All right, shalom, sisters.
Shalom. Okay, so there you go. We got that.
Now, I also want to say, I want to give a what would also be the thing? When a person's gonna say something that's kind of rude, out of line. I
A
forget what.
disclaimer?
Yeah, disclaimer or whatever. Not a disclaimer, but it's like a, like a. I
A
forget.
warning?
Yeah, like so. Thingamajiggy warrant, trigger warning. Okay.
Okay, yeah. This is a trigger warning. And please, if this is inappropriate, like children, nobody under 18 be present. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Here we go.
let me share it. Wait. I gotta share it for you. Okay, go ahead. Now it's up.
So this TikToker Dana Dane, 1987, accused Sonia Massey for throwing water on a police officer. Now this is a black woman on TikTok. Now, during the height of the whole Sonia Massey thing, this lady comes out and says this.
This reputable
So CNN is not good enough.
confirms that the video that I seen is fake, then I'm going to issue an apology for reporting on a fake video. If that video is fake, I'm woman enough to say I seen a fake video, believed it, and then spoke on it, right? But until a reputable source confirms that that video is fake, then I know what I
So again, CNN, the World News, the body cam.
seen, right? A lot of y'all never even seen the video that I was talking about. And then once you did see the video, then you moved the goalpost. Then it turned into, well, yeah, I seen it, but the video ain't real. It's AI generated. Then it turned into, okay, maybe it is real, but even if it is, she still didn't deserve to be unalived. Well, no duh, Sherlock. At no point is it ever being justified what the police did. He was wrong. And that's the reason why he being charged with murder, because he was wrong. He did so many things in that altercation that was wrong.
Now, listen, this is her rebuttal after she earlier went on and basically blamed Sonia Massey and said that it was her fault for throwing the water on the police officer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and go ahead.
She literally said that Sonia Massey threw the water on the police officer and that she was wrong and it was her fault. What happened?
Are you done with it? 'Cause I can take it down.
Yeah, you can take it down. You know, okay. I think the actual video where she says that got banned off of TikTok. But
yeah.
So, and this is the thing is that we're a lot of times we'll be so us women be so opinionated. We don't have an idea when we're out of line. You know what I'm saying? It's great to have an opinion. We want to speak out, but you also have to have some ability to like read the room and know when you're stepping out of bounds.
Right. And I want to add to that because as I said today, there is a basic definition for the term, but I think we need to add to the definition. And that's what we're actually doing right here, because I also think I was talking about this earlier, I see toxic femininity as this. When anytime a woman is using her voice, okay, and it could be on or off social media, but especially on social media, when a woman is using her voice to attack another woman or to if it harms another woman, and if the other woman is a target, so if the other woman is a target or the group of women are a target and she used her voice to harm them, intentionally harm them, then that is definitely toxic femininity. Even and I shouldn't even say intentionally. Let me take that out, because what she was doing, she wasn't intentionally trying to harm Sonia Massey or women like Sonia Massey. So I don't even think I should add intentionally.
It's her opinion. She has such a strong opinion about something before she knows all the facts.
Right. So this is what, when I say this, though, I need to clarify myself, because there are women out there who are always trying to look for, oh, Nepal, you said this and that. If a woman gets up and talks against abortion, or she's against, or she's for abortion or against it, that's not toxic femininity. She's discussing her stance on the act of abortion. If she gets up and starts attacking a specific woman who says, this is my stance on abortion, if she personally attacks that person, that's toxic femininity. Am I making myself clear? I'm just throwing this against the wall.
I think it's a matter of sometimes we'll think that we're always right.
Yeah, but when you focus on a particular person or a particular group, for instance, when she's saying Sonia Massey ... and why did she threw the pot of water, I saw it, so that's why she got shot.
Right.
That's toxic femininity, because she analyzed the information and she knew the woman was killed. She admits the woman shouldn't have been killed. She admits that it was murder, yet she still takes a stance against the woman, not to mention that it's a stance against Black people. She's taking a stance against a woman, and she's going toward, when I say taking a stance against the woman, she's standing for that which destroys the woman. That's my point. When you stand with, so then someone could come into me and say, well, what about abortion? You stand against abortion, so you stand with something that destroys women, because women die sometimes, blah blah blah, from childbirth. That's not the same as toxic femininity. I'm not, you get what I'm like, it's very intricate.
Yeah, the reason why I bring up that particular content creator is because she's constantly doing content that is always contrary to anything uplifting. It's always like, well, if you this, you need to do that. If whatever.
Well, show us some more of what is it against women?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, she's
her whole TikTok is like fucking mess about why you ain't worth a relationship, why you ain't doing this. The whole TikTok is that.
Okay, see, that's the actual basis of toxic femininity. And I want to talk about, especially Black women are doing this, and this is for brothers, Black men to listen to. At first, the manosphere, I think they've wisened up, but at first the manosphere and the men going their own way and the male empowerment movement were like, oh yes, I'd love to hear this woman talking about getting in on these other Black women. Shut your mouth, start being submissive. However, those women were not really, those weren't their sentiments truly. They were just doing that to feign submission, to feign that they want to be a certain way, which is unrealistic, by the way. And it's even men who want to go their own way start to notice this is unrealistic. Like when someone's in a relationship and they're being abused, well, it must have been your fault. That's what they were going with, these women who are toxic feminine. And I'm going to the extreme talking about violence, but I want to take it back to something more realistic, not saying that women being in violent situations are not realistic. Please excuse me the way I said that. I'm saying something that's more not as obvious. Women who get on the internet who are pushing, shaming women for being overweight. And that is a lot of these women who are toxic feminine, who are getting on these platforms saying, oh, you women are so overweight. You women are so disgusting. These men are right. You do look like a busted can of biscuits. That's toxic femininity. And it's not only against the women, though. It's against men. You know why it's against you men or you brothers? Because she's not really helping women lose weight. She's not really helping women be more health conscious. What she's doing is fat shaming, body shaming. And sometimes it's not even when they're fat. They'll be like, oh, you're skinny. You have a flat butt. Oh, you're not curvy. So they're body shaming these women. That doesn't motivate those women to actually be the perfect body. It motivates those women to be more self-conscious, more insecure. Of course, you'll see them on the surface like, okay, I'm trying to lose weight. But in the journey, they're actually being bashed on both sides by men and by women who by far are perfect, because no woman is perfect. But then when they put themselves out there as, I'm the perfect woman, telling them that they should be in shape. I'm the perfect woman saying that I have a woman attacking me on the internet who's almost 50. And I just thought of her. I mean, right now, when I was creating the stream, I was thinking of her and a bunch of other people because it's all over. But I just thought of this woman who's almost 50 years old. She actually tries to age shame me. And she's in the same age bracket as me. She tries to age shame me, but she's in the same age bracket as me because she's toxic feminine, and she knows that that is something that is very effective to tear down a woman's reputation. Because I've never pushed myself like, oh, I'm the most beautiful. Everybody, look how beautiful I am. I'm a teacher, but people say, oh, Nepal, you're so attractive. Oh, Nepal, you're so good looking. Oh, Nepal, even men and women, sisters, right? So she wants to tear down that reputation. And so she works to say, okay, you're old, you're out, you're auntie, you're not attractive. She tries to body shame me, but I don't know how she's doing that because my body's banging over hers. Oops, sorry.
That was toxic femininity. That was toxic.
That's not toxic femininity. That's me. That's me fighting back.
Banging over yours. That's toxic. That's toxic.
No, that's fighting back. But I was just playing around.
It take all type of shapes.
I threw it in there. Look, you could do the same. If someone's body shaming you, let me talk to them. I'm so glad we did that. I was just playing around. If someone is body shaming you, and if someone is attacking you, not just with your body shaming, the way you act, if you choose to be submissive, if you choose to not go to work and you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, women cannot attack you for that. So that's the thing. If you're attacking a woman for her choices in her own life, then you are toxic feminine. If you are totally opposite of that woman, like for instance, you're a Santeria priestess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I, despite all what I can say I believe in, I am toxic feminine if I start attacking you personally. Now, if I say, okay, listen, everybody, I don't believe that African spirituality is going to be able to be put over, Bible spirituality. Get it? Like, that's not attacking you. But when I start attacking you as a woman or a group of women who, I'm going to be honest, I stop myself. I don't even go live. For instance, I don't like tarot card reading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I think I told you that. I find it to be a farce. Notice I'm talking about tarot card reading. I find it to be a farce. I know that it has a history based in Europe, but there are women who really love it. Black, white, Asian, Latina. There's so many women who love it. I really have to be careful not to get on the internet and be like, oh my God, you women out there.
That's not a woman thing. Tarot card reading is not a thing.
I know, but there are many women. So I was just going to say, if I get on the internet and say, oh, all you women doing this tarot card reading, oh, you women are so stupid. And especially Black women, you don't even know that it's based in Europe. Now I'm toxic feminine.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So
right.
Yeah. So I want to really add to that because I don't think it's actually been defined that much. It starts like with internalized misogyny, but it's way beyond that, especially the stuff you said. You said when you first came in, God, you said something that I was like, yeah.
It's misandry.
Yeah.
A lot of time, like you have like that, like Princella, for instance. Okay. She has
Right.
a whole platform that is based in toxic femininity. The whole time she's telling her followers, see, y'all don't know nothing. That's why y'all need to listen to me. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. You need to let me run your life because y'all don't know what y'all doing. And then she ends up dating a woman and becoming like, tries to be like the man in the relationship, becomes a whole stud and all.
Stop right there. I'm not going to cut you off. I want you to go piece by piece. You notice what she said? She attacked the women first. This is why the men need to tune in. She attacked the women with those talking points saying, oh, you women need to listen to me. We need to leave these men alone. Then come in and she wants to replace the male. So I just want to point that out. Go ahead. That's like the complexity of the toxic feminine. But go ahead. I just want to jump in and point that out. I'm sorry if I stopped your flow.
I'm not going to play any videos, but I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay.
This is just
I'll just cover it again.
Well, I want you to see the picture of the person because I'm not gonna play the video, but I want.
Okay, it's all right. Fair
so
use.
now there's this person that's called Daddy's Girls, and she used to be a BBW woman that I guess she did gastric bypass. She lost a lot of weight, and then she got on TikTok and started a cult of people, of overweight women that began to follow her. And once they started to move in with her, she began to like beat on them. Like
This woman that's with the eyebrows and the cornrows?
Yes, she began to assault the women that were living with her. And the people, they called her daddy. They would send her all their money, and then she started to transition to a man.
Oh, my Father of mercy. Stop. Hold on. Do not lose your train of thought. This is what I'm talking about in a nutshell. They are pretending to, when she gets the BB dub, when she gets the gastric bypass, I'm not saying that's only trying to go toward the talking points of get skinny. However, it is one of the main talking points of the manosphere that women shouldn't look like what's it called? A busted can of biscuits, or all these black women. Peace and shout out to my brother Kevin Samuels, rest in power. But these talking points are, oh, how much do you weigh? Oh, you're 5'9". Oh, you're 190 pounds. Oh, you're fat. Nope. And I'm not saying that. I wasn't trying to pretend to be Kevin, but I'm saying that's the talking points. So you see, that affects her. She's going with that whole, I need to be a certain size. But then she doesn't just, now this gets complex. Do we have homosexual women who are toxic feminine? Absolutely. I'd say arguably many more homosexual women are, and this is my own prejudice. This isn't a study, but I'd say many more women who are homosexual are toxic feminine. Why? Because remember, they're internalizing something that they hate about themselves, aka misogyny. I'm going to say that again. They're internalizing something that they hate about themselves as a woman. They hate something about being feminine. Feminine in society is being soft, this is what feminine is defined in society.
Remember
being
her?
soft, being sweet, being submissive, being agreeable, not challenging authority or challenging certain rules and statements that males make. So when you're a homosexual woman and you're struggling with your homosexuality, even with your gender, you're going to say, oh, you know what? On the surface, I'm going to pander to society. I'm going to pander in any way that I can. But inside, I really resent femininity. I resent it. And look what happened. She started to transition.
She was very abusive to the women, and then they ended up in prison, going to jail, and all type of stuff. Like it was one of the a few people have escaped or ran away or left, but this woman had, she's still going on. It still exists. Her cult still exists.
And look at the name. That's very feminine. Daddy's girl. That's pandering to, on the surface. This is for men and for women, this particular stream we're doing. Because on the surface, they always are like, oh, I'm daddy's girl. And that's something that's considered feminine. Daddy protects me. Daddy spoils me. I listen to my daddy. I wish my daddy was here. So really inside, she's internalizing the self-hate, which is misogyny. And now she's got this whole transition thing she's going on. There's so much going on with this that I don't know this whole case, but this is definitely a good example because it doesn't just show the typical like Candace Owens type of woman. And I like Candace Owens, but I'm saying, I believe in family. I'm so pretty. I'm so slim. I'm so well-spoken. I hardly ever use profanity. That's what they usually push with toxic femininity at the surface. However, this is a better example. Not better. This is a great example because we see a woman who was appealing to women, but she still was pushing the toxic masculine point, like you can't be big. And by the way, you should, if your health is not good, definitely get to a healthy weight. But a BBL, not a BBL, gastric bypass. Yeah, gastric bypass is a very extreme, very invasive, very dangerous surgery, but she went to the extremes to lose her weight. And then she starts bringing all these women who are vulnerable, making them, I have to look at it, but I'm going to just gamble and say she played on their insecurities about their own weight and said, look at me, be like me. I did it. You can do it. And if you can't do it, you're not worth anything. So you have to have me lead you. Am I right? Hello.
It's really on some S&M level stuff.
Sadomasochism. Well, that could be sadomasochism.
So she will be spanking on the people. That she has multiple women living with her, and she'll be beating on the women, and they're big women. Like I'm sure, and she's small. She lost all the weight. They could overpower her and just whoop her behind, but I guess she got them so mentally manipulated.
But look how this woman's acting. I'm gonna say this. I know this is one of her.
Listen, this is one of her followers. She makes all them wear like this hijab and to cover like this. So I think there's something to the hijab and the covering up. She makes all her followers wear that.
Okay, well, this is all toxic femininity in its.
She's singing a song to that to the guy, to the girl or whatever.
Okay, well, this isn't the epitome of toxic femininity. The way you see this woman's motions on the surface, a male would say, "Oh gosh, she's so feminine. But really, look what's going on. Internally, she's singing to another woman who also pushes the toxic femininity. This is not real femininity. This isn't real femininity. This is toxic femininity. It's and wait a minute, what is this one? Oh, so the hijab is also considered feminine, being demure, being very discreet, being very very modest according to religion, but according to a lot of societies. Obviously not the Western society, because the hijab is extreme. However, it does exude, I'm very modest, I'm very demure, I would never do such a thing. That pushes, that feigns pretend femininity at its core, but really they're perverse. And they, as she says, when I say perverse, I'm not judging, I'm talking about paraphilia, because if she's spanking them on a sexual level, then BDSM is basically a paraphilia. It's considered deviant. I'm not saying that it's wrong.
Now, let me tell you something even crazier. Now they don't even refer to her as she anymore. They now refer to her as he. So imagine if they first joined the cult, she was a female. And then as time went on, she began to transition. So now she's the king of the studs.
Right. So yeah, that's crazy.
So people join it. You see, I've shown pictures that it's transitioned or starts off one thing and then and
yeah, the hormones are changing her face, making more testosterone, stronger male features.
Yeah. So and this is the same thing that began to happen with who?
I wanted to say that for Princella, there's a link to, that's why but let me say this, brothers, men, listen, you think these women, of course, Princella was anti-male, but at its core, it still is, they're pushing this thing where they're shaming women. They say, if you're not doing things this way, the way I say it, you're not good. They attack women. Princella, she personally attacked me in her way, or she thought she was defending herself, but she was actually personally attacking me simply because I said something that really exposed her, and I didn't even know it was, at the time, was so pertinent and so strong. I said, no matter how many baseball caps you wear or something, what's underneath it? I think I said something to that effect, and that really got to her, because to her it took away her position of power. Now, remember, I said toxic femininity, or wait, I take that back. I said female aggression is most formidable psychologically. And I think men and women know this alike. Female aggression is more formidable, it's stronger when it's psychological aggression. And then when that psychological aggression is used to tear someone down, that is what cult members do. And that's male and female. Because remember, we both have male and female aspects. So to be honest, toxic femininity can be used by males if you think about it. Because, well, not really, because it's internalized misogyny at its core. So it really would be toxic femininity is only exclusive to females. And I would argue that there's a bigger conversation. Could transgender women be toxic feminine? No, could they be using toxic femininity? And I would say no at this point, because it does, studies are being done on the actual biology and this psychology of the male and the female separately. So this is Princella, who she goes between stud phenotype and femme phenotype, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But see, a lot of women really be having that on the inside of them. They have like that kind of a masculine aspect, and then it comes out as toxic femininity, because they'll really have a lot of like, I wouldn't say penis envy, but they'll have like some kind of a masculine, like overly masculine aspect to themselves, to where they hate themselves as a woman, and they're taking it out on other women because they don't really like themselves as a woman. So that's why you see a lot of people like transitioning and starting to look more masculine over time, because really, in all actuality, they hate themselves. So therefore, they can't. So when it comes to other women, they like, you know how it also comes out is you'll see a mother. I think I saw this one time where a young daughter was telling her mom that she had been S3x, right? And the mom had the nerve to yell at the daughter. The daughter was crying like, "Mom, please listen to me." She's like, "No, you got to get the heck up out of my house."
Oh, I saw that.
Blah, blah. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? And but that mom probably been S3, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
She hates herself, so she definitely can't love her own daughter in that situation.
And also, I want to jump in and add this. It's not only that she hates herself, that we're getting somewhere. We're broadening the definition right now, because guess what? That's that self, internalized misogyny, which you had a great point, but you kind of went to the mother thing and the daughter thing. But that internalized misogyny, not that she just so much hates her daughter because she sees herself, which is actually true. She needs that validation from that male, and she can't go without it. Sidebar, it doesn't always have to be a male that she needs the validation for. It can be a woman who is acting like a man with man behaviors, and so it could be what we call, in the relationship. I don't know if this is offensive, but I think stud, is that an offensive word now? I don't know if that is stud, but the woman who is the more male behavior, like we saw Princella and the other daddy's girl. I want to say this though. We with the mother-daughter phenomenal, like, kind of hatred thing, that is, it hasn't been discussed enough to, as far as being toxic masculine. I mean, toxic.
Well, here's another thing. Why is it that in order to like promote women or womanhood, that it has to be all or nothing? Like, and it's the same thing on the other side. In order for you to be a man, you got to dang near hate women. You know what I'm saying? So you got Myron over here that pretty much acts like he just completely hates women. And
you mean on Fresh and Fit?
Yeah, Fresh and Fit.
Well, yeah, that's toxic masculinity. Yeah, exactly.
But then you got the other side of it, and she ended up on Fresh and Fit's show, by the way.
She was not just ended up. We got to walk that down slow. She was thrilled to be there, and she was so at her best behavior.
Right.
And not to mention the other male type of dominated show. What was it called? The Caucasian.
I forget what it's called.
Choose Your Leisure or something like that.
Yeah, something like Choose Your Reality or something like that.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna read this article. I'm letting Prince Charlandine in as well. Remember, we're talking about toxic femininity and how it has been weaponized to attack women attacking women, and the men who love them. I'm gonna read this article in Psychology Today and let the brother in.
yeah, so I was saying that it could go so extreme to where the woman hates herself, she tries to become a man, or it could be so extreme that the woman hates herself, so she attacks her children.
Right, and that's
Especially their younger the daughters, where
right.
you are very attacking your daughters. You're resentful. And then they don't like younger. The older they get, the more they don't like to see a younger woman or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh, because
Right.
I have an example, because like, okay, let me give you an example. So R.I.S.E did Real Life Street Stars. Jaguar comes in and begins to question her.
You didn't tell them her age, though, sister. You gotta.
R.I.S.E is like what, 24, 25?
Okay, now you got it.
She has
And
a
Jaguar is in her 50s.
Yeah, she has her. She's the one who gave her kids a CPS, right?
But I just wanted to get the age for the context, because you said
and so she's doing the interview. Jaguar comes in, and then she begins to ask really personal questions. Now this woman went to CPS because of mental health. You know what I'm saying? She was overwhelmed, and she still has some mental health. She still goes through depression. She still goes through stuff. But the first thing Jaguar asked her, so when did you start cutting? When did you stop cutting? First of all, you know what I'm saying? And then she continued to berate her as a mother. And I've seen women do this time and time again with this young lady. They begin to what's it called, when you compare themselves to her and whatever she's going through. I've done it. I'm a mom. I'm a real mom, and you need to just thug it out. You ain't no, there ain't no breaks, because you know what I'm saying. So because they didn't have a break, they see another woman struggling, and they want to be hard on them and say, well, you just gotta thug it through it. You know what I'm saying? How dare you ask for help? And then it becomes like a very toxic thing where you have this woman just basically almost had the girl crying. You know what I'm saying? I think she did start crying. And when the whole thing was done, there was a whole situation. Thankfully we got that part removed out the video, because it was really, really toxic. It was awful. But
you really could have left it so people could see how Jaguar is.
Well, the thing is that people. I mean, I think that the way that people are beginning to receive Jaguar, it was not a good look. It's gonna make her, because people are already on top of her because she brought her kids to CPS, asking for them to take her kids till she got on her feet.
Well, were you finished? I'm sorry.
Right. So I was saying is that there was a whole situation where she was afraid about how that audience that's really starting to big up Jaguar is going to make her look right. So when that happened, you know what I'm saying, I looked at that as a toxic feminine thing, because like it's
definitely
for her to come into that situation and want to make that girl feel down. Like, the first thing that she did was talk about, we're moms here, you're not a good mother. That's what she said to the young lady.
She said, you're not a good mother.
She got all the women that was a thing. You're a mom, you're a good mom. But
wait. Slow down first. You gotta walk me down slow. You mean during the show in the studio, she was calling out women and saying, like, ganging up on her?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, we know that definitely
stuff is toxic.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And it happens a lot. It happens more than often.
But do you see? I want to, because you got a lot. You got a treasure chest, but I need to grab some of these jewels. They're slipping out my hands. Hold on. I need to say, hold your thought. Do not lose your train of thought. But listen, do you see what she's saying? The women, she used the manipulation, the aggressive the psychological aggression. That is how women use their toxic femininity effectively to tear down the reputation of their target. And now they're using it against women to gain the trust and manipulate the men. But then that's when they slip in, and then they use it against the men. That's what I want to point out. She was calling on everyone in the room to gang up psychologically on that one woman.
And that, and women do that all the time. And that,
Yes.
I believe that that's also a part of a woman. I think we tend to like group think a lot of stuff and start to come together in a group and begin to, especially if there's one target to like jump on, it can become a bullying situation where you know what I'm saying?
That's what we talked about with gang stalking yesterday.
Yes.
Remember? And so they call it together. Yes.
So let me tell you. So another example of
and then
it.
You can come in after her, Prince Charlentine. I'll just
another example. The pop the balloon phenomenon, right? If you ever notice that if one woman pops the balloon, and I don't know whether it might be.
I don't really watch that show, girl. You are really on a roll. You got to explain to people who don't watch it. I've seen the little clips, but I don't take my time to watch it because it looks very anti-male. It looks very much like they are just shaming men. Am I wrong?
Man, it's well. And
explain the show and then go into it.
So men get on the show to go on a date with a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
The women have a balloon in their hand, and he can ask them some questions. If they pop the balloon, the last person with the balloon, if there's more, he could choose one or whatever, and they go on a date. Now, let me tell you how toxic this is. If one woman pops her balloon, right, for some freaking reason, all the women begin to pop their balloons. I have without fail.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
It's almost like they're afraid of what each other will think about each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that women as a whole, we're more worried about what other women think about us more than what we think of the opposite sex.
Oh my God, I got to read this paper. You're on it. You're on a roll. You got to.
So you have like a whole pop the balloon situation. Then when the one man gets up there, it starts to, because they'll be like, okay, so why'd you pop the balloon? I didn't like his belt.
Bingo.
Oh, why'd you pop the balloon? I just didn't like his shirt.
Okay, well, wait. But now listen. That's toxic femininity. That's like the horde mind toxic femininity. Hold your thought. I love what you're doing. I just want to jump in and do some commentary on what you're saying. That is also toxic femininity. Why? Because it's about shaming men for what they make. Remember, in my title, I have materialism. You gotta, I don't like his shoes. No, what? His $50 pair of pants? I don't think so. I only date men who wear $400 pair of pants. That's toxic femininity, because what they're actually doing, ready? Really, they're saying, I'm not worthy. I don't look at men for who they really are. And because I know that I don't feel secure with myself as a woman. I can't hold a conversation that's intellectual. So if I say it, those women who can approach this very interesting guy who only has a $50 pair of pants on, I will shame them. So see how the toxic femininity works in a V? It works toward the woman and it works toward the men. I shame him for what he's wearing. I pop my balloon. Don't you even think twice about not popping your balloon. Go ahead, Genesis.
Mm-hmm. And we'll look at each other. You can see them looking at each other, you know? And then you'll see another balloon pop. Like it's crazy because one person will pop their balloon. He'll ask why. Because I don't know the way that it's structured is so say 4 people pop their balloons. Before we move on to the people that did not pop their balloon, each woman have to basically disintegrate this guy. Well, I didn't like this about the guy. I didn't like that about the guy. I didn't like this about the guy. So by the time the women who did not pop their balloon finally get a chance to even say anything, they have gotten all this negative feedback about this guy. Oh, I didn't like your pants. I didn't like your shirt. Oh, I didn't. Oh, when you answered that question, it wasn't the right answer. But whatever dumb reason, and the reasons why they don't pop the balloon, why they pop the balloon, it'd be so stupid. Because the guy could be a doctor. One guy, it was a dentist, and they hate. Listen, sometimes the dentists come out, everybody just pop their balloon.
Oh wow, that's silly.
Yeah, I'm like, man, bro, like, you know what I'm saying, and then.
But that's interesting. Hold that thought, because I want to get John Henry, and I got to let the brother come in because you're cooking right now, but I don't want you to turn your stove off. I wanted to look at what you said about the dentist and how these women, like, I don't want a nerd. Well, John Henry, you don't know it, my friend, and I appreciate your comment. I'm not jumping on you, but I want to make something crystal clear. You are actually feeding into that rhetoric, and it is toxic feminine at its core, because you say the last thing a man wants or needs from a woman is intellectual conversation. What that translates to women is, you think it's saying to women like, I just have to be cute and sweet, and he doesn't want to have a conversation with me. He just wants me to look good and be sexy in bed and cook and be quiet and say yes, yes, whatever you like, whatever you need. No. What really is you're telling women is that you don't have to have a brain. You're telling women you don't have to be smart. So when they come in with brothers, because this is just toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, to be honest. When brothers see this, when brothers say this, they're telling women, you don't have to be smart. You don't have to come in and have a conversation with me. You don't have to sit down. You can embarrass me when I'm sitting with my colleagues and my family, and that you don't even know basic things. You don't know how to have a conversation. You don't have to be a genius, but you definitely have to be intellectual. You want to be. So I find that to be just rhetoric that feeds into the toxic side of masculinity and femininity. I'm gonna let you go ahead and comment on that, and please let the brother come in right after you comment. Oh, and there's another brother said he's spitting. You brothers don't get it, but really you're telling women that you don't value intellectualism. It's not like in a movie like Pretty Woman where, oh, I took a prostitute off the street, she's gorgeous, let me clean her up and take her to a party. People know what kind of woman you're with when she opens her mouth and speaks, no matter how much you clean her up. Or, you know what I'm saying?
You know how stupid that comment is? No, a man does not think about a woman's intellectually. And my thing is, so you want to create some subpar offspring? You don't care about the intellectual capabilities of the woman that you're with. So basically, though that intellect passes down genetically. So you would prefer to just like let your to give seed to a woman that's a idiot, and then her children are idiot, your kids are idiots, and you just your whole bloodline is just filled with degeneracy.
Yeah, but yeah,
stupid. Like a person don't, she ain't gotta be stupid. All she gotta do is have a hole and two legs, and that's all we need. We don't need anything else. She needs to shut up and just bow down and you know, whatever. Okay, well, then that person that's bowing down, if they're just a slab of skin, a meat suit with like a hole in the center of it, then guess what? Your children are going to end up being just as dumb as a bag of rocks as she is.
Right. Well, I'm not trying to
for generations to come.
Yeah, I don't want to get triggered by him, because we don't want to echo chamber. So I do need these type of comments, and I appreciate them because we can discuss them, and we have a man on the panel. But it says women wear silence well. I agree, actually. That's why I summer jam this. Yes, of course. That is. Let me tell you something. You think women don't know that? You think the toxic, like the Princellas, when she went to those two male-dominated channel shows, she was a obedient, very agreeable, beautiful little princess. But that's not what her agenda.
Man,
that's not. Yeah, that wasn't her agenda. Her agenda was, I'm going to make sure that all the women stay out of my way. I'm going to dominate. And ultimately, I'm going to internalize my self-hate, aka misogyny. And then I'm going to push out the misogyny and come out with misandry. By the way, she was saying men need to, we need to get rid of men. We need to get rid of men. But really, she wasn't really working like that. She first started out saying the Black woman needs to shut her mouth. She first started out saying the Black woman is toxic. She said the Black woman is horrible. That was her first platform, but she wasn't getting very much progress. So then she changed it to, let me study what's going on in social media. That's toxic feminine. I'm going to use this, though. Go against men. It's not always pretending to be feminine. It's trying to get a following with the aggressive psychological measures. And then once you get that following and you move to where you get enough success, then you show your true color that you really want to take over and you want to be the male. You want to be the male.
No, she does not want to be the male. Princella is not even gay. Get out of here.
Well, that doesn't mean you don't have to be gay to want to be the male.
Pretending to be gay because that's what she done backed herself in the corner. Now she got to act on what she done put out there.
Yeah, let's hear from a man on this now. Thank you so much for your patience. I don't even know if you're still there, Prince Charlene Dean, Mighty Hebrew. What say ye?
Shalom, shalom. Can y'all hear me?
Shalom, shalom. Yes, we hear you just fine.
I'm going to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Shalom, shalom, Genesis.
All right.
Okay,
She stepped away, but go ahead. I know you waited a long time.
Shalom. I'm sorry. Shalom.
Okay, great.
Yeah, good to talk to you again. I talked to you, I think earlier in the week, last week. But so let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Now I don't know if you remember, Sister Napa, but years ago I did a 6-hour lecture entitled "Sorcery," the L word, because I ain't gonna say that.
Yeah, because we don't want that hate speech. They got their finger on the trigger.
Right. So the lecture is on Global Media Inc. It's a 2-part lecture. It's called Sorcery, Feminism within the Black conscious community. And see, I've said years ago that what was going to happen, they was going to use the alphabet boys and girls as a catalyst to bring that type of deviant behavior in by the way of consciousness.
Now you're specifically saying L, right? Because we're focusing on this femininity, or are you just going broad?
Yeah. Well, I was focusing on the L in the documentary that I put together, but my statement I just said in that retrospect was broad. But to narrow it down and crystallize it down, what happened, I don't know if you remember, but you had certain players within the Black conscious community that was promoting the idea that the Black woman solely alone was God.
Okay, you got to walk us down slowly. So you're saying that was an agenda to actually do what? That when we relate that to toxic femininity.
Yeah, right.
Because there is a lot of when you talk. Wait, Mighty Hebrew, I'm gonna let you flow because I know you can. But I just want to say, basically, we're broadening it. See. There is this internalized self-hate and I'm going to read this article and give you a definition, but toxic femininity at its core is internalized misogyny. And that as a woman, of course, misogyny is hatred of the woman or against women. So that's internalized self-hate, which definitely can be seen in the L community because the way women are. So I just wanted to go ahead, brother. I just wanted to jump in with that.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. So what I did was I went into ancient times and showed originally that we had a balance, a male and female principle balance in nature. And there became an off balance because one gender was dominating another gender. And through that, it caused a birth of ultra matriarchism and ultra patriarchalism. And we've seen this in ancient times. And now it's trickling down, or it has trickled down in the modern times. And what we've seen in the United Kingdom in the 50s and 60s is this rising of feminism, not divine feminism in the sense of womanhood, but a cult-like attitude to overthrow your Gentile counterpart. And we've seen that spread in the United States. And what happened, many of the sisters, even brothers, adopted these characteristics, and you see it today in our communities. With that sister Priscilla, I seen when y'all two had a discussion. You remember when she got off, I came right on behind her.
Yeah.
And you was on the panel, and I exposed her. And now what I said on that, she has been exposed. Like when that sister DJ Genesis said, she's not really, that type of person. I have that same feeling because originally she was saying, that the black man was God, and that she came out of the Nation of Islam,
You're talking
and
about Prince
that
Bella.
absolutely, and
Yep.
that the woman was toxic and she wasn't really getting no numbers. So then she flipped the script because you got to understand also that a lot of these women that involve themselves in that, if you notice, it's always 9 times out of 10 based on some type of broken relationship. Something happened. You can even see it in certain Hebrew Israelite segments. I'm not going to put the sister name out there, but there's a group of Israelite sisters, that on the surface, they be on social media. Shalom, brother. Shalom, sister.
Yep.
But they literally got a back page. You know what I'm talking about, Sister Napa?
I
They
know.
literally got a back page where they talking about violating a father's daughter and how they carpet munching and
Oh
all
yeah.
this, you
Are you
know what
talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about.
same sister that I'm talking about that I used to go in her into her? She screens you, and it's like a cult. I forgot the sister's name. Damn.
Yeah,
She's a
I
rapper.
know her name. I know
She
her name,
raps.
but I ain't gonna put it out there. I
No,
ain't
but
gonna
she's
put
a
it out
rapper,
there.
right? Is she a rapper?
She's definitely a rapper.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Talking about the same
Very
sister. And she's attractive.
attractive. And she's
Yes.
attractive. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh
with
wow.
these, what they do, it's really a cult. It's really a
Oh my
cult.
gosh, that's
It's just
crazy.
like
You're
you got
talking about her because Mighty Hebrew, I used to go in there. Me and other sisters, because while I was doing activism in the community, I was like, we got to go in there. We got to get the sisters out of there. And we'd be in there like dropping scriptures and we thought we were rescuing sisters. But yeah, I'm
absolutely.
laughing, but I know who you're talking about. Definitely.
And now you also got this new sister on TikTok. She's like the new nature boy.
Oh, I think,
And
no,
they got,
Genesis just showed us her.
Yeah, we just got finished
they
showing her
got,
Daddy's girl. Yep, Daddy's girl.
yeah, that's her. And they all got tattoos of this woman. And it's this madness, pure
Toxic
madness. But
femininity.
my whole point that I'm saying is when you go to that 6-hour documentary that I did, I take this back to ancient occultic practices. Like when you see these alphabet behaviors, I'm linking them back because we're natural people. So
Yes.
I'm linking this back to cult-like abominable acts by the way of religiosity. When you
Mm-hmm.
see it pieces of grape and, you
Oh, wow.
know, forgive me, child molestation and practicing them different wicked abominations, there was cultic-like behavior in ancient times, and it
Hold.
trickled down.
I don't mean to
uh,
interrupt you. Can you also point this out? The ones who are in that alphabet community, they want to attack religion, but their actual sexual practice is based on religious. It's a
that's a
religious
fact.
type of action. It's a cult. That's
That's
what
a
they
fact.
did at the temple. We had male Kadesh. What are they called? The Kadesh?
Yeah, you got the Kwadosh, and then you got the Kwadeshah,
The
and
Kadosh is the male.
the Kwadosh is a male. What
Yes.
they translated as sodomite, but it was actually a male religious prostitute.
There you go.
Excuse me, it
There
was
you
a male religious prostitute that went both ways. You can even see this in the Hinduic customs and
go.
cultures, where
Mhm.
so
Now be
originally it was
careful.
defined as,
Careful.
it
Be
was re-
careful. Keep
yeah
going.
it was yeah it was originally defined in duality, but later on it took on deviant behaviors. You know what I mean? It went from a duality understanding to a perverted understanding. But I said this years ago that they're going to use consciousness to lure these people in. And look what you was just talking about yesterday, you and Sarnetta, when y'all had to go after, attack those that attacked y'all first. If you
Yes.
go on their platforms, these people are openly a part of this alphabet crew, and they up there quoting Bible scriptures.
Without
Like,
literally saying it, yes, they are right there doing it. They just are not saying, yes, all of us are rainbow and alphabet, because they need a little bit more coercion, they need a little bit more manipulation and a little bit more psychological aggression towards those of us who are not, who are balanced. See, I'm not bashing them. I had to jump in, Mighty Hebrew. I'm going to let you have it again. But we're balanced. However, we're not saying we hate you, but we are talking about truth. You're imbalanced. It doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't mean that I'm going to attack what you're doing as far as your personal life. I'm not going to target you as a person, but on our platform, we serve a natural order, and it is in nature. And I want to hear about, well, you can see the male on male in nature. No. You're not going to do that. Nature is not, that's not, there's an abnormalcy going on when you see that. Something's going wrong. We even know that, and what's it called? Atrazine? What's that stuff in the water with the frogs? Help me out, y'all, please. What's it called? Where the water, you've heard about that. Is it atrazine? Where the male frogs were starting to be with the other male frogs, and the locusts were starting to be with the other male locusts. But anyway, go ahead. I just wanted to jump in because
I'm going to say this last little part, and then I'm going to pass it to the sister, back to the sister, because I was enjoying what the sister was spitting. One of the contradictions that I seen Priscilla the Queen make on Sonetta is her whole argument that males or men, they're not, they can't naturally love. They can't love. They're naturally rapists, aggressive, warmongers, and their nature is to self-destruct. Then she turns around and say, men got to get it together, and they have to climb the stairway of heaven, which is the womb of a woman, and that the black woman is God, etc., etc. And she ain't coming down to mortals or beasts of the field, talking about men, right? And that men on their own got to get it together. And if not, then they're just going to self-destruct. One minute you're saying men naturally cannot love and they're destined to self-destruct. And then on another breath, you're saying they got to get themselves together. If they're naturally this type of way, what are you talking about? Because just this picture, let's say if we go by the logic of this sister or the illogic of this sister, and all the men self-destruct, then what happens to all the women on the planet? And we're not going to go that the women are going to become self-reproductive. You need an opposite. We talk in facts. If there's an in, an out, left, right, up, down, king, queen, there's always duality when we're dealing with the science of what we talk about. Even in the story of Adam, it doesn't mean man. The word man goes back to the Sanskrit word manu, which means to think. So we know that Adam is a asexual duality being that in turn gave both, or they split male and female at the same time. So when this woman said on Sonetta Studios that men are destined to be destroyed because of their whoremongering ways and they can never love, and that their mind is strictly on a great mentality, what is her whole objective? It's like the sister DJ Genesis said, that woman really don't believe in that stuff that she's saying. When you expose certain things, Sister Napa, you exposed it clear as day, because when you were saying certain things to the woman, she was stuttering over certain things that you was pointing out to her. So there is a spirit. I mean, one can agree to disagree. I'm saying that there is some type of inner spiritual rituals that's going on behind closed doors, and it's drawing our people into a trap of self-destruction. Once you destroy the black man out of the picture. See, we thought it was a good thing when the man was destroyed and they left the woman out there. She took that and empowered herself. Originally, it was for good intentions because we wasn't there. We was either getting locked up on drugs, on the streets, whatever. But then it became deviant. If you look at other nations, they don't be down in their men like that. You will never see other nations on a campaign saying that they don't need their men.
Yeah,
That's
never.
only in our communities. You will never see Chinese women on social media platforms campaigning that they don't need men. No
Right.
other nationality of people do that except us. We have picked up the slave masters' wives' fight that was against her lover, and we put ourselves into a fight that we ain't have nothing to do with. Neither one of us. Yes, ma'am.
Honestly, I think it's deeper than that. I think what's happening is that a lot of people are getting into S&M. I think that they are starting to get into like this kind of a S&M, and now that the agenda has worked to kind of let it be okay to have these kind of same-sex relationships.
How is S&M related to same sex?
Because the kink world.
Okay, now you said kink. Because you're saying sadomasochism.
Kink and S&M is the same thing.
No, I'm saying I know, but kink is
it's an open aspect of sexuality, right?
Hold on. We talked about paraphilia, and that is kink. But when you say S&M is related to homosexuality,
yes, it is.
No, well, kink is also related to kink is homosexuality as well.
Also, domination and submission is.
Do you get what I'm saying? But do you get what I'm saying? Because kink is just translated as paraphilia. But now
paraphilia, what does that mean?
Exactly. Paraphilia would be the slang word kink, meaning it's sexually deviant.
Right. So, but I was talking mainly about S&M because of its submission and domination.
So I guess I'm saying what you're saying. Like you're saying, I just want to know: are you saying that S&M is leading to homosexuality?
No. Let me explain.
Okay.
Homosexuality is very much, well, hell, even male-female relationships have a level of domination and submission.
Okay? No, I got to process that. So you're saying homosexuality helps them to do what?
There's a level of domination and submission.
Only in homosexuality, though, not in heterosexuality.
I said in both, but I believe that when you also involve kink into it and certain aspects,
you have to be specific in what kink you're talking about. You're talking about S&M. No, you're talking about dominant and subs, right? You're not. So
in a regular relationship, right? Okay, a male asserts his dominance. I think that's because of society, how we were raised. We were probably raised that way for that to be acceptable, right?
I don't think so. I think it's naturally
into our mind that we could submit to a guy because of
I gotta jump in. I disagree, because the man has a actual physical hard part of his anatomy that penetrates another human, and that is a form of dominance. That is why. It's not because we were taught an erect, if there's no children, a hard,
before they even having sex, though,
forceful member entering, and not only does it penetrate, it causes, when it's a virgin, it causes her to have pain when he is not experiencing any. So he's the dominant, and that's natural.
But let me finish with my sentence.
No, I know, but I just wanted to say it's not taught. It's not a taught thing. It's natural.
I would say that it's implied before a person even starts to have sex. The strength of a man is understood even when a man says, "Hey, stop doing that," in the male's deep voice versus a woman's voice. You might have to tell that baby a few times, but that man come in there and say, "Hey," and then the baby jolt. You know what I'm saying? So It's implied even before sex is even.
Yeah, but that's not sex.
Let me just go into.
I know, but Genesis, I'm just saying you can finish, but that's not sex. That's a different thing. You said
I'm talking about dominant versus submission because you're saying it's also in heterosexual, but I'm saying that heterosexual is already implied from an early age, and it's like actually.
I got you.
Talking about when in these in a more I'm not gonna say unnatural, but I'm gonna say in the homeo aspect of things where people are homo.
You can say unnatural. Ain't nothing wrong with saying
things. There is more a forced role of dominance. You're both the same sex, right? So therefore, a person has to exert dominance in a more stronger. A more stronger way because and that force that submission, right? Because think about this: for a man to bend another dude over and penetrate him,
Lord.
that other man has to become a bottom, and the other man is a top. So you're submitted. You're becoming the bottom. The man is a top. So now you have a lesbian relationship or an L relationship. You have one woman that has a strap, a fake penis, and then one's a bottom, and one's the top.
Let's be careful with our. Yeah,
well,
I
that's
got
what I'm saying. So
no, I got you. You're good.
It's submission, but it's an artificial submission.
I can see it's like a synthesized choice, but isn't that?
It's an artificial submission.
Isn't that so? It's with that. That's the same with the men too, right?
Because
with the male,
they could both jump up and probably whoop each other's behind. It would be the most brutal fight because it's two women fighting each other. If there ain't nobody there to stop it, they, Lord knows, you know what I'm saying? Okay. But I mean, sometimes a woman could beat a man's behind too. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
So how is that How is that S&M though?
Well,
yeah,
it's domination. The person is dominating. It's okay. Bring up this thing. Queen up and Michelle. Look at this. Show that.
Those two women who are like toxic.
That's toxic feminine. That's the subject. I'm not going to play the video.
Okay.
I'm just going to describe what happened.
Yeah, you're just going to show it. I can't really play them.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to talk through it.
While you pulling that up, I just want to say real fast, that was my point when you talking about dominating somebody. I'm telling you, all these deviant acts go back to sexual religious ritualisms. When you look at Hellenism and the Roman Colosseums and the goat notes, which is to be in the nude, which you get the word gymnasium, that whole alpha male and beta male is when you're dealing with Roman wrestling. Whoever dominates in the wrestling, they get, violated and dominated.
Right.
This is why I'm saying.
Thank you. It's an artificial domination. They have to humiliate the other person to a certain extent.
Right, but what I'm saying is these deviant acts go back to ancient. I'm only using the word for people to get an understanding, even though I know this word goes deeper, but it goes back to ancient pagan ritualisms of ancient nations, and they whole object. That's why when you look at the deities of many of these nations, they have bisexual attitudes. You know what I mean? When you start to study up on this stuff and you can see the deviant behavior, remember, there's nothing new under the sun. So these ancient rituals were passed down into this society that you see today. When you look at the United States, it's a conglomerate of ancient Rome, ancient Babylon, ancient Greece. When we study these cultures and customs, a lot of them customs and cultures were predicated on deviant behavior. And you see it today now, trickling within the social fabric of the United States of America's so-called myth of society, not myth of society, I'm looking for the word, the social fabric of America. We're seeing it today. Remember, y'all, it started with the Ricky Lake show, and you had your Jerry Springers and all these different people that were slowly bringing this in to the African-American community, because, and even the Hispanic community, because at one time,
I think it was already present. It just was hidden.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sister Napa. It definitely was hidden. in the Black American and Hispanic community, but it wasn't like a cult-like following that you see now. What
Right.
you see now is like you can literally look at the whole No Diddy situation. You seeing they're being exposed, dealing with all these different ritual acts that's dealing with humiliation, the alphabet words, but it's all surrounded around rituals.
Yeah, right
Dig
there.
it.
I see
All
what you're
around
saying.
rituals.
I could see where that's related with the humiliation. I want to make sure we stay on the topic of toxic femininity.
It is. Well, I want to show you this, okay? Because I'm gonna show you this, and I'm gonna show you what how all this stuff is all like the same. It's all leading down the same what you call, because Princella had a level of this that she was doing in her back chat. So they're all doing this type of stuff, and so this Queen Op person, right? She at one point she was pregnant, whatever. She then began to get into a L relationship. Her and her lover began to she was already kind of doing like humiliation with this young lady, but then the lover got involved, and then they began to beat on this woman, cut her hair off, and make her diet, putting like just doing all kind of stuff online. Okay, till finally the police had to get involved, right? Because they were doing this humiliation ritual, and even when the police got involved, the person that it was getting done to was like, "No, everything's fine," right? Didn't want to be saved. You know what I'm saying? That was just how that was their thing. So it's a mixture of, this is like domination and submission right here. This is S&M. So, and then the Daddy's Girls did the same thing. If you actually read this article right here about the Daddy's Girls, it was a kink lifestyle. Shay wanted her to be submissive. She didn't even bat an eyelash. Okay. And then, so people are starting to adopt. I'm not sure if this happened after 48 Shades of Grey came out, but it's not just only a sexual relationship. There's a kink aspect that's now been merged into this, where it is a domination and submissive aspect to it. Now, naturally, there's already going to be domination and submission in a relationship. There's always going to be one that dominates over the other. But it's exaggerated when you start involving all this other stuff, where you're like spanking people and whipping people, making them pull their hair out. She said they made them pull their hair out. They made them cut themselves. And then it was the same kind of, it was the Princella stuff was leading down the same road. You understand? So it's not just, so this is another level where that toxic femininity takes it to another thing. On the opposite side, you have a nature boy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I appreciate you showing that. I did want to grab, if you finish screen sharing this. Yeah.
Somebody in the comment made a point. They were saying, a lot of this didn't creep in the 5% in the Hebrew community, but it was mainly like the Black conscious movement. And what I will say, it did start first in the Black conscious community when it comes to, like I said, because I was there when the inception of the concept of the Black woman as God came by the name of good brother by the name of Natural Tahuti.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, you had guys like Young Pharaoh, that dude No Light, a Nature Boy, all these different cats, they picked it up and they took it to a level where you actually literally seen the deviancy of it, especially with a Nature Boy, when you and Sadnetta interviewed him and he had the women on there and they was talking about three guy, and you seen the deviancy of what was going on. When in fact,
if that was not an exercise in S&M, I don't know what was. That was not a domination and submissive S&M.
Well, you're using S&M wrong. Then you're talking about sub and dom.
That's what isn't BDSM bondage, domination, sadomasochism?
No, BDSM. Yes, BDSM is bondage, dominance, and sadomasochism. However, when you're talking, when you say sadomasochism, which for me, I want to be clear. Sadomasochism and bondage and dominance all go together in a kink world. But sub and dom in a balance, like I'm going to say as Hebrew Israelite, as far as that culture, is not kink. So when you're talking about dominant and submissive, I want to just clarify.
Maybe I should say BDSM.
No, you can. Yeah, say BDSM.
Maybe I was only putting S and M.
There you go. Perfect.
BDSM. So what they're doing is BDSM, but they're doing it online for everybody to see. So it looks like they're just doing it for clicks and views, but really this person is getting gratification out of being humiliated. The person that's humiliating the person is being gratified by being dominant. Right. And then there's a whole like circular situation is going on here.
Right. And so that is definitely kink. If you say BDSM altogether, sadomasochism isn't always related to dominant and sub, but in that culture, yes. So
and on the other side of that, so this is like the toxic feminine aspect of how they're doing it, which is a cult and which is cult-like and generates a following of people that are watching people be humiliated. On the other side, you had the nature boy situation from a toxic masculine aspect of it.
Right. And I just want to point out this real quickly. If you notice and this isn't an attack on young Pharaoh at all. However, if he was saying the Black woman's God, I just want to point this out. Again, this isn't a personal attack. I'm just making an observation from what I've seen and even from speaking to him. That particular, I'm not going to group him in by saying the names of, I'll say Natural Tahuti. So Natural Tahuti, young Pharaoh, those brothers and others were teaching the Black woman's God. But if you notice, their true sentiments were not that. Not saying that they were, I'm not even going to call them toxic. Their true sentiments were about male dominance and male God, because they exude and exert themselves as, hey, I'm a man. You should be listening to what I basically say. I'm not saying that I'm quoting young Pharaoh, but I've seen, when his wives, he's had issues, he's like, these BITCHs don't want to listen. They're going against me. So, and like I said, I'm being very sensitive in what I say. So yeah, they're not, it's like as if Mighty Hebrew comes in teaching Black woman's God, but that's not how he lives his life. He's a patriarch. He believes, not just believes, his whole lifestyle, according to the Torah, the Tanakh, it's based on male dominance. So they come in and they feign, again, we're going back to when we use that word, when we talk about masculine toxicity, feminine toxicity, there's always this on the surface, who can I appeal to that has the most power? In that case, it was the women of the community that will give me the control. And then when I come in, I'll have the control that I desire, and then I'll use it in a cult-like way. So that's
very key, that what you just said, because if you look at these movements, they're geared based on the social construct and attitude of what's going on in today's society. Just like the preachers of today. If you notice, like, remember in the early millennium, DJ Genesis and Sister Nepal, that in the early millennium, Enron went bankrupt. There was like a major financial crisis. I'm only using this as an example. There was a financial crisis. So what did the preachers do? They created something called the prosperity doctrine. They focused on the social construct that was going on at the time. When you look at this concept that the Black woman is God, it was predicated on a certain type of attitude that was manifesting at the time, and then it brewed to a point that it became deviant. I don't believe that was like Natural Tahuti's original intention or his intention at all. You know what I'm saying? I think once other people start gravitating to it, it went somewhere else, because we know what makes quote unquote God is both the masculine and the feminine hand in hand is what make God. You can't have one without the other. We understand that. But the whole
I think
point,
that what it was is like history. Like if you really went back into history, and Dr. Joseph Ben Joseph
Yochanan,
Ben Yochanan was the first person to say that.
Well,
that's
remember, it starts out with good intention. When I said this at the beginning, both of these movements, as far as the Black woman, let's acknowledge her for her divinity, but it obviously was an opening for disaster, so to speak. I do want to point this out, though. Look at this work. Ava Carey, John Henry said it at first. He said that those ninjas were just pimping, and then Ava Carey agreed. And guess what? There's a lot to study in that particular culture. I'm not going to even say industry. I'm going to say culture, because it goes back to what Mighty Hebrew's talking about, because those are temple prostitutes, and they may receive a coin, but guess what? There was in ancient, if we're going to talk about the temple of, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Mighty Hebrew, the temple of Diana. I'll just go Diana as not even going all the way back to
that's right. Bring it on. That's right.
So they the money was not the importance. It was the act of receiving a coin, which made it a type of where it was. Stay with me on this, please. It's like a dualism. It's something so sacred already in the act. It's something very, very that you should be exclusive with with your partner. It's a spiritual exchange, but it's taken to this spiritual exchange is done for, you do it with anyone who comes to the temple, and you, male, female, right? Anyone who comes to the temple, and then so that is where you make it profane, and then you make it even more profane as you take some type of money as an offering. So you're doing the sexual offering, which is very divine, and then you get a payment for it. It didn't even matter if it was a penny. It was just the act. That's actually what the literature says. It didn't matter how much they paid. It was the fact that they did the action of giving money for the act of the sex. And then also that was actually how young women lost their virginity in that particular, I'm thinking of Asherah. So the reason I say of Asherah, when I say this, that is the beginning of what we know as prostitution. And guess what? That's where the toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity are working together, symbiotic, because you've got the women and the men now today springing from that spiritual act. You have the women and the men playing each other, even though we think the pimp is in control. What happens? Remember, I talked about the psychological aggression. The pimp can slap her, but she knows just the right things to say to be the bottom, bitch. She knows just the right things to do. And who does she attack for the pimp? What does the title say? The toxic feminine attacking other women. So she becomes his weapon. That also, you might say, oh no, she hits the girls, but most of the time she's not hitting the girls. She's showing them love. Oh, you're my little sister. Come on in. I'm gonna show you the ropes. Oh, it's you and me against him. But really, she's using that psychological aggression. She's tearing down the girl. Not just, we're talking about psychologically, but also she's tearing the girl down in a way to control her. And then she's also using, this is deep, she's also using her toxic femininity to tear down the pimp, who is the boss. Oh, he makes me sick. Yeah, he did that to me too. Girl, I'm with you. Then she goes back to the pimp. Yeah, that old dumbass girl. I had to tell her how to do this. Oh, you know I hit her. And then she goes back to her. So that's the depth of it. So when you talked about prostitution and pimping, you don't even know how deep you went, because starts from the very beginning with that temple prostitution. And it's, what does it boil down to? It's all spiritual. So thank you for letting me go. But yeah, anyway.
Oh, and I definitely want to go back into explaining that whole thing about the BD, the S and the M?
Yeah, before you do, I know he
Hold
wants
on.
to jump in
No.
and talk. Hold on, Genesis. Did you want to make a because he's on the spiritual side? I don't want to take it away in case he had something to add about the spiritual, and then we'll go back into the BDSM if you don't mind.
You
Go ahead.
actually you show exactly what I'm saying. If we go into the ancient records, the oldest accounts of prostitution that we find are in the temples. They are literally in the temples. When you look at all the when the sister DJ Genesis is talking about dominatrixism and different things like that, all this go back to temple prostitution. She was also talking about Dr. Yosef A. Ben Yokanaya, who I personally met a few times, may he rest in completeness. He did say that, you know, the black woman is God, even though I disagree. You know, he did say that the black woman is God, but he wasn't the very first. They have many feminine European books that was written before Yosef A. Ben Yokanaya, pushing this agenda within the Euro-Gentile populace. So this idea, and what these writers did was not only did they say that woman was God, they was going to the source or the ideas as to where they got this from. And it's just like Sister Nepal said, they go into the temple prostitution, they go into the idea that the very first deities was female. They use all these things to justify the feministic movement. So the feministic movement didn't come by the way of just resisting male dominance in the United States and abroad in Europe, but this was very spiritual in nature. It was a rebirth of an ancient pagan idea of domination through sexuality. And matter of fact, deviant sexuality, because these practices were to greet the gods. Remember when you talked about the sister, not the sister, the god Diana. When you study on her, she was an L, and what she did was molest girls. When
Yep.
you read, she was the goddess of love,
And the
right?
goddess of
And when
hunting.
Right. And when you study up on her, her whole objective was she was a murderer of male children and a lover of female children. And when you look at what did Priscilla the Queen Maker say? What did she say? What did
Yeah,
they
you don't
all
want to
say?
repeat it. Not just her, but Cynthia G as well. All males.
The extermination of the male children. Now you got the new thing now all throughout social media with the black woman is God is that the black men are degenerates and they were a freak of nature that
Right.
came about. You got to see what this is doing to our people mentally, spiritually, psychologically. They went from saying, you know, we went from saying that the black man is God and the black woman is a goddess to the black woman is a god and that black man is a degenerate. Do y'all see what's going on? But I pass
Right.
the mic.
I want Genesis to come in. She wanted to make some comments about what she was talking about earlier. Go ahead, Genesis.
So I was actually going to talk about the humiliation and the S and M from a spiritual standpoint as well, because in India they actually have a festival. I think it's a Bengal festival that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years, where they specifically hurt themselves, like they take pins and stick pins through their skin. They slice their skin. It also happens in I think it's in Arabia. Like they'll take like this thing, and I've seen people like slice their back open and all kind of stuff. So I'm not sure where a lot of this that is coming from, whether it comes from the Europeans, so to speak, but you do see it in Asian culture as well. And then when you actually get into some African traditions, when they get mounted by a spirit, that spirit might have you like well, you would light your hand, but it wouldn't, you wouldn't burn it, or you'd probably be able to stab, and it wouldn't actually hurt us, penetrate. So some of these things, these rituals, come from, they're not just only European, because I see a lot of people just say, what are you talking about, European BDSM? No, this humiliation and sadism existed before just the European. There's cultures that have been doing this for a long time. And so I was going to show that the Indians, like even like the Native Americans, they'll actually hook their skin onto a thing and then like lean forward. And I think it's a matter of like showing their pain or something like that, and that's supposed to bring them higher, closer to God, or you know, there's usually a so they took those religious spiritual practices that people were doing, and then they turned it into the opposite and made it into some kind of a sexual ritual. Because if you actually study Aleister Crowley, people understand that when you start doing some of these practices, it actually releases a demon out into the thing. When you practice a lot of these things, mixing certain fluids and stuff together, and actually like pain and all this other stuff, it releases demons.
Right. There's endorphins that are released, and I think you're referring to self-flagellation that takes place in a lot of religions, where they may cut themselves, and like you say, they do the hooks, and they also do the whips, and with the cat tails.
Yeah.
The tail of, the cat tails with the sharp things on them, and they do that to their backs. That's also in Catholicism. There's actually an actual order. I forgot, the name escapes me. I used to know, but yeah, the study of pain is interesting. I mean, it's masochism as far as like wanting to feel pain is interesting, how there is a release of endorphins. And even I know it goes back probably before at the beginning of time, but the Aztecs, I think it's the Aztecs, they had a ritual where they would like do immense, unbelievable, like cut their tongues open, and the pain would send them into this state of because the endorphins, with the pain, it would cause them to have this like psychoactive type of reaction to the pain, like you said. And they would think, oh, I'm closer to God. And they'd start to hallucinate, which you can't hallucinate. I am a witness. I can tell you, people might laugh, but I was getting my hair braided one day into tiny, tiny micros. And I had an out-of-body experience. I could see myself standing outside of myself, like feeling sorry for myself. So it was so painful.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point about the pain, though.
Yes.
I just want to say the goddess was. I just want to make a slight correction.
Oh, she shared something.
The goddess was Aphrodite.
Yeah, when you were saying Diana, I was thinking not children, but I wasn't sure, so I just let it go. But I don't remember Diana being the goddess of because Aphrodite is actually she's Asherah, and she's also Astarte. So yeah. Oh, and what's that other one? The one that's right now they're doing. Aphrodite is them. So yeah, I'm glad. I wasn't sure, but I knew she was the goddess of hunting. I didn't know she was the goddess of
childbirth. She's also the Diana is the goddess of childbirth and hunting, where Aphrodite is the goddess of love, and she's a lover of women and a killer of men. So I just wanted to make that correct.
Yes.
I don't think it's only European paganism, John Henry.
Oh no, it's not just European.
A little bit more recent.
We know. Yeah, we know it goes back. You can go to the Indus Valley. You can go to certain ancient African societies, Native American societies. The Mayans, all. Yeah. But the thing is, only reason why I'm focusing on Rome and Greece, because they are the dominant factor right now.
Not just that. I'm gonna jump in. Not just that. They eroticized it. They went back to it, and it was I'd say it was deliberate. It wasn't something that just naturally evolved, obviously, because it's perverse. They went back to what was done with going back to the first temple prostitutes, and they brought it forward with what Genesis is saying about the pain, the sadomasochism. They incorporated that dominant, that, you know, that prostitution aspect with the pain. I think so. Because if you look at these other things, like you just mentioned, you know, the self-flagellation, the hooks with the I think that's an Indian practice, or with a Native American practice. All
that
of these
Indian, that was in, it's in Native American and it's in India. So
okay,
yeah,
there's no sexual aspect. You notice that? But
yeah.
then when you get to the European, when we're talking about the Greek, then we go into that paraphilia where it's like, now it's erotic.
And so getting back to what were the original conversation about this toxic masculine and versus feminine, we're really about the toxic feminine is what's happening is that you have these people, these women that have these kind of cult-like followings. As Queen Op and Michelle had a cult-like following. Daddy's Girl had a cult-like following. Priscilla had a cult-like following. We always want to talk about the male cult leaders, but you have a female set of cult leaders that utilize that same level of humiliation, S&M practices where they're beating them on the women, making them cry, being hurt, having to go to the hospital, you know, cutting themselves, ripping their hair out. The what's her name? The Daddy's Girls was making the girls rip their hair out.
So was Queen. So was Queen.
Queen,
and Queen
putting super glue on her head and all kind of stuff.
But this is new. I want to point this out, though. Go ahead, Mighty Hebrew.
I'm just saying, you know, it is what it is. She was just exposed. Some sister have been doing lives on her that she's supposed to have been with, and she exposed them wicked, deviant behaviors that she was practicing on her and other women.
Yeah. So we
she
want to.
She was doing some of that stuff.
It's a new phenomenon.
Priscilla had gotten to that level where she started to do. I know she was doing humiliation. I know that she was really talking bad about the people and really making them feel bad, and that is masochistic. And
oh yeah, no, it's sadistic
or sadistic. Okay,
right.
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
that is so. It actually, I was right to say S&M because they're using that to humiliate them and to make them feel bad about themselves and to hurt them.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong about S&M. I want to be clear. When you said you were linking it, and then you showed me what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I couldn't see the connection with homosexuality and S&M. Like I thought you said something like that, but then you cleared it up.
Well, all those women are gay.
Yeah, but I want to say this though, for people who practice homosexuality, people who practice BDSM, we are not saying that all the people. I have to make this clear.
I'm talking about from a cult level. These people are cult leaders.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Regular people. I'm talking about cult leaders. And on one spectrum, you got like a nature boy.
Right.
So this is the answer. The other side. We talked about the red pill. Now we got the pink pill. Right. So basically, I'm showing how we have an extreme on both ends. And if you say toxic masculine, then okay. So the extreme of the feminine is just as toxic as the masculine.
Okay. Yes. The toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity are two terms that are being used to describe new, I guess, behaviors that are in our society that are actually, if we want to link it all, it can go right into social media. I'm going to say it's not exclusive of social media, but I wanted to say this. What I was trying to say is, if you are an adult and you are with consenting adults who practice BDSM or homosexuality, I'm not saying that you're in a cult. That's what I needed to impart. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is, when we see these cults, those type of behaviors are quite often present, and they have to do more research on why. You know, there's a lot of reasons. BDSM is considered paraphilia, like a sexual deviance. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It's just sexual deviance is just another way to say kink. People don't mind when it say kink, but when you say sexual deviance, they're like, hey, what are you talking about? Okay, so I want to make that clear. I was going to close out. This has been a great stream, but I wanted to go to move to Judah Naz is doing a lesson on something similar. He said, I think he said he's doing something on spirituality and sexuality. So I'm going to actually share the link, because he asked me if I want to join that particular lesson. I'm sure you're all, of course, Mighty Hebrew knows he's welcome, but you're welcome as well. I'm not inviting you to his stream, but I'm sure he doesn't care who comes in as long as they're respectful. So I'm going to share the link to his build. This was very informative. As always, Genesis brings some compelling information and adds so much to the conversation. That's why I'm glad she's here. And of course, Mighty Hebrew brings paramount, ideal, cutting edge information that I always learn something from this brother. So thanks to the chat too. You have great participation. I see you out there. I appreciate you. I especially love the female presence, brothers. You know, you always here, but I love to see the sisters here. And just closing out, and then I'm going to go around and let everybody else close out. Toxic femininity, joining the attack on women and the men who love them. We did touch on a little bit about how the women are doing the ageism and the body shaming and the materialism, but I like how it came to a head with the actual cult mind aspect of it, because that is very, very detrimental. When you find out that women are being attacked with that toxic femininity, which it's like you said, it's symbiotic with toxic masculinity. But when you see that women are being brought into cults, and we need to do a show on women cult leaders, which is something new. When you see that happening, you know, that's when we have to start speaking on it more, helping people not to slip into that, helping people to recognize when women are being toxic feminine, because men think, oh, that's a great sister over there, she's doing the right thing, or women think that's a great sister over there, she's doing the right thing. Turns out they've got internalized self-hate, aka misogyny. So I love this conversation. I'm going to pass it over to Genesis, and then I'll let Mighty Hebrew have the last word, and then I'll go ahead to the other stream. I'm dropping the link to Judah's channel if you guys want to join. Go ahead, Genesis. Thank you for letting me do that. Close out. What's your last word?
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So what I was really trying to show is the extreme of anything can lead down the wrong path, right? So toxic on either side, especially when you go to the extreme of it, leads to a cult-like thing, especially when you have social media involved and people will do anything for a click and a view. The humiliation is not just in the bedroom, it ends up online in front of everybody to see. Also, I think that women need to get out of the hive mindset and be individuals and not allow any other women to influence them. I think that mothers should also care for their daughters and not get jealous of them when they see that they are growing more and more beautiful and being desired as they begin to get older and probably are like not as desirable as they used to be. But remember, they used to be that same age too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that as women, we need to actually to get back into, like, you know, the village raising the children. Instead of us being jealous of that young lady, we should actually just be there to give her good advice. I was one who grew up with aunties that would give me advice, you know, tell me, hey, you probably should wait for this. Don't do this. They gave me good advice. They weren't jealous of me seeing me grow into the beautiful woman I became. Now that I'm older and I'm past what they call, I didn't hit the wall or whatever people say, I don't look at a younger woman and get jealous of her. You know what I'm saying? We have to like work on ourselves. And I just thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Genesis. That was awesome. Mighty Hebrew, go ahead, brother, and then we close out. I shared the link, though. If y'all want to join, go watch Judah's lesson. I think you might like this one, Mighty Hebrew. Is talking about the serpent and the woman. And the topic is, what did I just see? The topic was, let me see what the topic is. Hold on, y'all. I have like 50,000 streams open. Tabs. The power of sex, love, sex magic, the tree of life, Egyptians and Canaanites, and modern Baal Asheraism. Oh, this is good. This is gonna, you know, link to what we were talking about. But anyway, Mighty Hebrew, go ahead, brother. Please give us your final word.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahuwah, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers over there, and Yitzchak and Yaakov. Through sharp for righteousness' sake, I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here once again. I I will come on if you would like me to come on and give a PowerPoint presentation, because this is a very important discussion. And like I said this years ago, that this was going to, all this type of deviant behavior was going to creep in by the way of consciousness. You got to remember, for one to be deceived, there has to be an imitation. There has to be an imitation. So that imitation is coming by the way of consciousness. And our people, look how they got us. They got us to a point, they say it's freedom of speech, but we're to the point where we say great, we got to say all these different words not to offend. But the reality is, this is unnatural. This is abominable. This has nothing to do with righteous traditional cultures at all. This is a deviant behavior that's taking place to born what is coming our way in the future, and that's world domination. And the power source is Western liberal democracy right now. And they're using everything by the way of ritualism. And I like how that sister DJ Genesis brought up Aleister Crowley and all these different people that dealt in these types of magics, you know what I mean, with sexuality. And that's my whole point. And when we study up on these deviant behaviors, it all goes back to some form of deviant ritualism. So be careful and be warned. Watch yourselves and keep y'all eyes on the prize. The creator, Yahweh, in this Torah. Hallelujah.
That was awesome. All right. Peace. Peace to the family. I see you out there, Ascent. I don't want to call you Ascent to Phoenix, but hold on, y'all. I think it's Ascent. Calls her Ascent. Okay, so I see Ebony Knowledge, the sister Ava, all the brothers. Oh, dang, Genesis just left. Well, I told her that she could leave and close out. Thank you, Genesis, and be careful what you watch. Go subscribe to Genesis' channel. I showed my channel and hers, so let me show hers again. Where is it? Genesis. Here it is. Go hit this link. Check out her content. She has some great content, great interviews, DJ Genesis. And please subscribe. And also, check out the R.I.S E channel. Reality is Simulated Existence. Yes, that's yours truly channel, formerly the Nepashadot channel. Anyway, last but not least, let me get Judah one more time, his channel, because he's building this channel up. Just make sure everybody has the links. Most of the people in here know how to find Judah. But if you don't, if you're coming and joining us from another place, that is Judah Naz's. Let me put Judah Naz. Judah, oopsie. Judah Natsara. I appreciate everyone being here. This was a good conversation. Genesis, I don't know if you're still there, but I might see you over there on Judah's channel. All right, so we got everybody here. Peace to Thindo Rav Hutsula. I like that name, though. Thindo Rav Hutsula. Dang, I'm Son of Man. You get to do the playback. Much love. Thank you for being here. Let's head over and see what he's talking about with sex magic. Sounds interesting, right, y'all? We're talking about sexuality as of late. It's something that is very obviously foundational, something that's a part of our lives. Whether you are asexual or practicing, you still have a sexuality, right? Okay, great. So I shared your link to your channel. Thank you for joining again. I want to see, maybe I'll see you over there on Judah Natsara Legend. Peace, everyone. Peace and love. Shalom.